Hello, everyone. You're listening to Unlocking Greatness podcast with Zenja Glass. Feel free to call me Z. I just want to have a quick conversation with you all. This is going to be a very short broadcast. I think it's important that we give ourselves grace and realize that when we've come down from scaling a mountain, it's okay to have a resting period. It really is okay to have a resting period because sometimes we've been in survival mode and we may not even realize it. I believe that that's true. Sometimes we've literally been in a fight or in survival mode for such a long time. We don't even realize it until we've come down off the mountain. And I want us to be okay with not always knowing the next move to make, the next decision we have to make, the next thing we have to do. I don't know what it is with us that, and maybe it's just me, but we think something's wrong when we don't know exactly what to do or we don't have it all worked out or we're a little uncertain about something. And I want us to be in the mindset of considering that as an invitation from God to just sit with him and to spend time in his presence as he directs our steps. Because I want to stay in the flow with God. I don't want to go too far ahead of him and mess up because God knows I've done that before. And I don't want to lag too far behind, which God knows I've done that before and missed out on opportunities. I want to stay in his flow. And if you're wondering, Z, where's this coming from? You guys know my life is an open book. I'm amazed at how much I've shared with you all. So where this is coming from is since I finished writing my book, and by the way, it's been sent off to the editor. She's just basically proofreading it at this point. I'll give an update probably by this time next week. But I've noticed that since I finished writing the book, I can't quite explain it, but I've had a difficult time deciding or figuring out, okay, so what do I do next? Not in terms of how to launch the book. That's a whole nother subject. But I just mean in terms of just lots of decisions going on in my life of things I've got to do. I'm involved in a lot of projects. I just don't talk about everything online, but there's a lot of things that I'm involved in. So no sooner than I was done with my book, trust me when I say my staff was coming at me left and right with really some key decisions that have to be made. And I found myself being tired. I found myself going home. I found myself sleeping more. And I was talking to God about this and I was meditating and thinking about this. And finally, it dawned on me. And I also had a talk with a friend, the author of Spiritual Discovery. Remember, we had her as a guest on the show. She really opened my eyes to something. She helped me to see. She said, Z, these were not her exact words, but it was something like this. You just scaled a mountain. Like, do you realize that you just poured your entire life into a book, not to mention writing some very serious chapters about some things that happened in your life? And then on top of that, losing your son. And even since you've lost your son, you've just been giving and giving and giving. And now you just went through the emotional journey of even including that in your book. And she said, so you've just come down from, and I forget her exact words, but from scaling a mountain. You've accomplished something great. It's okay to rest now. And so that's what I want to relay the message over to you all, because it seems like whatever I go through, you guys go through some of the same mess. So I'm hoping someone can relate to this, that initially I was feeling guilty. I even prayed to God and I said, God, I'm sorry that I'm tired. Even in my time in sitting in the closet with him, which you guys know I do often, last night when I was sitting in the closet and praying and listening and meditating and all that, I used to be able to go for hours. And after, I don't even think it had been 45 minutes, I started getting sleepy. And I literally said to God, I'm so sorry, I'm tired. But in my spirit, what I heard in my spirit is, it's okay, I want you to rest. It's okay, this is your resting period now. It's all right. Sometimes we may not know. And there's a couple key things that I've got to make some decisions on. I won't even go into the detail because I want this to be a short podcast. But a couple things I've got to, get some decisions made on. And I just don't know the right decisions to make. And so I'm just spending time with God. I'm taking that step back and allowing myself the time to just be. Even this morning on my 1-hour prayer walk, I'm like, God, make it clear to me. Show me what to do. Show me how to live. Show me how to rest. I don't know if you all know this about me, but I've been working since I was about 13 years old. We moved out of state. It wasn't a good thing. You'll learn about it in the book. But unfortunately, my mother was really abused. And it's just a lot that happened in my life. So let's just say when we fled, to another state. We literally were fleeing. And we had absolutely nothing. So I used to go door to door selling artwork and doing just about anything I can do to raise a little bit extra money. But anyway, my point is, since the age of 13, I've been working nonstop. So it's naturally in me to be a doer. That's my natural default, in fact, is to do. And I want to say to those of you who maybe fall into that category with me, it's okay. Number one, to spend time to rest. And number two, it's okay if you don't know what your next move should be or exactly what you should do. It's okay. It's called being alive. It's called receiving an invitation from God to just sit with Him and be okay with sometimes inactivity. Sometimes be okay if you disappoint others because you can't make a decision quick enough for them when they're waiting on something. It's okay, because I'm not going to run ahead of God and do something that He's not told me to do. And I certainly am not going to lag behind. So I don't know what I'm going to call this podcast. I might call it Stay in the Flow or Be in the Flow, or I might call it, once you've come down from this mountain or something like that. But I want to encourage you all, for those of you who are in one of two categories, and I can imagine because I know my audience pretty well. Some of you are in the category of, well, Z, I really haven't been doing much because I really don't know what to do. That's an invitation from God to sit with Him, no matter how you slice that. And then there's some of you who are so like me, it's not even funny, where there's so many opportunities and so many doors, so many pathways, you're just trying to figure out the right one to take, right? Right? And you may not know the exact thing you need to do, right? And even in that, you're still in the same category in which I'm saying that we have to spend time with God and walk in His flow and let Him show us the right timing and what we need to do. So one of the things that happened when I turned my book in, I think it was last week Monday, when I announced I was done and I would be turning it in. Well, what you don't know is my book didn't get turned in until the 11th, 11/11/22. That's the actual day that I sent it off to the editor. So that was about 4 days later. All I had to do was create the table of contents. I moved some chapters around so that there would be a flow. And I thought, that's probably just going to take me a few hours to do. And that's why when I recorded my podcast, I said, hey, by the time you listen to this, my book is sent off. Well, what I thought would take maybe 3-4 hours took 3-4 days. Because God really worked with me through some things. And He's like, no, you're not going to rush through this. There's a flow that people are going through. So it ended up taking me 11/11/22. On the 11th is when I actually sent it to my editor. Ironically about that, that's actually the date that God gave me a long time ago. I never told you all that. He said 11/11. And I thought that would be the date my book is actually launched. I did know that would be the date I actually sent it off to the editor just to do some proofreading. That's all she's doing, is just proofreading. She's not changing my content, by the way. So I got a tiny bit frustrated with that, just a tiny bit. And I said to someone, oh my goodness, like it just seems like this is taking forever to get out. I thought this would be out the door. And that person said something to me that I'll never forget. He's like, Z, you're going in the timing and in the flow of God. Like, you got to let God take His place at His time in this. Maybe there's something else He's going to give you last minute you need to put in, which is exactly what happened, by the way. So I just want to encourage you all with this. It's okay to not know the answers and not know exactly what to do. It's okay to be a little uncertain at times. It's okay to not know all the answers. Consider that as an invitation from God. And the second part of what I want to say in this message is, for those of you who've just finished scaling a mountain, or perhaps you're doing that right now, it's okay to have your resting period when you've come down off of that mountain. You don't have to keep running full speed ahead. You deserve time to rest. In fact, that's one of the chapters in my book is called Rest. You deserve the time to rest and to come down off of that mountain and get out of that, what I call survival mode. I didn't even realize I was in a survival mode until I wrote the very last chapter of the book. And then it's almost like something welled up inside of me. And I was just in worship before God that, oh my God, I was in survival mode through this. Does that make sense? So it's okay to have those moments in life. Everything's going to be okay. Anyway, I love you all. I'm just talking. I'm just updating you all. There's a lot of exciting things going on I'll be announcing later. But right now, if I can be very honest with you, I'm giving myself as much time as I need to rest, giving myself time to sit in the presence of God. I'm giving myself time to take my time and make the right decisions that need to be made, and to not feel guilty about things, because I've been running since I was 13 years old. Since I was 13 years old, I've been running. And I'm giving myself time to rest. Anyway, I love you all. There was something else I was going to announce in this. It's coming to me, but maybe I'll put it in the next episode because I wanted this to be pretty short. But I truly love you all. I pray more than anything that when my book is officially released before the public, and you all will be the first to know, by the way, I'm going to make my announcement here first. I sincerely pray that it lifts you. I pray that it prevents suicides. I pray that it encourages those who are brokenhearted. I pray that it gives hope to those who have lost their loved ones. I pray that it inspires those dreamers and entrepreneurs out there who don't think they have it in them to do what God has told them to do. I pray that it just hits you from every angle and that it helps you to stand almost like a brace, that it helps you to stand as you're taking some bold moves and moving forth in your faith and in what God has told you to do. There are some things that I put in this book that's very, very personal. And if I can be extremely transparent, I even had to have a talk with one or two people just to prepare them for what's in it so they can read it. You know, like I talked about some things in here that I haven't spoken to anyone about, maybe one person in my entire life. But I'm doing this as a way to be honest with you, to let my life be transparent and to help others and to draw others nearer to Christ. So anywho, I don't want to get off on talking about the book. The whole point of this is it's okay to be uncertain at times, to not know what your next move is going to be. And if you've come off of just scaling a mountain, a major task, you've been running nonstop, it's okay to have some time to yourself and to just rest, all right? I love you all. I'm looking forward to the next podcast episodes I'm going to be recording. We're going to have a good time. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening. This is Z with Unlocking Greatness Podcast. Please don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the notification button. Love you all. Bye-bye.